The UFC is back in Seattle this weekend, and we are going to make some money on it, boys. This is my UFC Seattle Adesanya versus Pyfer underdog bets and picks predictions. I do it every single week. If you guys have been following this show, we've been very profitable this year. We've been doing very good. Before we go ahead and get into the recap of last weekend, I am buzzed, boys, all right? I'm not balding, okay? I'm not like Salty Joey P, but I did buzz, all right? So the haircut's a little bit different, okay? The haircut's a little bit different. I did it on a limb, but we've got the underdogs for this weekend, and I am very confident in these underdogs. So before we go ahead and get into it, comment down below who your favorite underdog for UFC Seattle is, and let's get it started with the recap of last weekend's underdog bets. So to recap last weekend's London bets, man, we went 1 of 3, all right? And I'm pretty pissed because 2 of the other ones were very close. They were very close, and they were guys that I thought could pull it off, to be honest, and they were close decision losses. It was the same thing with the week before, where we got robbed with the Bruno Silva decision, and we had the other one was like a robbery decision as well, or a very close decision. So we've been getting screwed over with some decisions, but one decision did go our way, which I thought was clear 30-27, in my clear 29-28. But bloody Nathaniel Wood in London, how can you fade the chap? How can you fade the lad? Plus 190 on the fight day. I should have doubled down on him, brother. I should have doubled down on him. But I did take Nathaniel Wood plus 190. I should have put more on him. I should have doubled down on this boy. Because in London, Nathaniel Wood is undefeated. He beat Loshin Keita by split decision, 29-28. Should have been 29-28 unanimous, in my opinion. I thought he won the first and the third round. Clearly, I thought Loshin Keita did pretty good in the second. But I thought Nathaniel Wood was just outpointing him, outstriking him. When it's a technical fight, Nathaniel was going to win that fight every single day. We also had Rock. We had Shem Rock, man. Fuck, dude. I'm worried for him against the Lion King, man. I'm worried if they put him against Anshul Jubilee. I don't know who I'm picking. At that point, I don't know who I'm picking, but Shamrock lost that fight by decision against Abdul Kareem Al-Sawadi. It was a close fight, but he just didn't do enough. He didn't push the pace. I thought he'd get the lean on the judges' scorecards, but he just didn't do enough. That's just what it was. It was a tough fight to watch. And then I also had Sam Patterson, where it's a classic MVP fight, where he's just up by 1 strike every round. That's it. There's nothing to it. So can't fade MVP unless he's fighting a hard grappler or a very high level guy. So we cashed Nathaniel Wood plus 190. Let me know if you guys tailed that one last weekend. But we're going to get straight into the UFC Seattle underdog bets for this weekend. I see a lot of solid underdogs this weekend. And we're going to get it started with a guy that's in a fight that's 50-50. And he's the underdog. Kyle Nelson plus 145 against Terrence McKinney. If you know Terrence McKinney, if you know ball, if you've been watching the UFC for even a year, you know Terrence McKinney is the definition of a live by the sword, die by the sword kind of guy, okay? He's going in the first round. If he doesn't finish you in 2.5 minutes, he will just give up and get finished. He will quit, he will finish, and he will tap. He will either tap or he will get ground and pound TKO'd or he will get flatline KO'd. That's just what happens with Terrence McKinney. And he's fighting a guy in Kyle Nelson who I think a lot of people are overlooking. You know, I don't think Kyle Nelson is this crazy powerful fighter, but I do think he's the faster fighter. I think he's got the better speed on the feet. I think he's got better hands than Terrence McKinney. And I think he's got more power than Terrence McKinney. I think if this is on the ground, if Terrence McKinney gets a takedown in the first minute, you know, we should be shitting our pants. But I trust Kyle Nelson to get back to his feet. You know, he got Steve Garcia's back within a minute of the first round. Didn't end up getting the sub, and he did get TKO'd. But Steve Garcia is very good. Other than that, Kyle Nelson would be on like a 5-fight win streak right now. And that's true. That's true. He's on a very good win streak right now. He just beat Matt Favola. I was there live. It should have been a round 1 finish. But fucking Dan Margliotta is so stupid. The entire crowd was saying, fuck you, Dan. Because he was just shitting it the entire night. He should have been a first round TKO. Should have been a first round ground and pound finish. But yeah, Dan Margliotta just let it be. And then Kyle Nelson won a decision. Very clear, very easy. Was throwing up head kicks nonstop, so I could see the head kicks being there against Terrence McKinney, a guy who leaves his chin open. He walks forward like this, literally like this, just jab, 1, 2, blah, blah, blah. He throws very good, and he does have power. He's finished Matt Favola in the first round, right? One of the quickest finishes in lightweight history. He's very, very dangerous, all right? Terrence McKinney's very dangerous, so I wouldn't trust putting your entire house on Kyle Nelson, but in a fight that's 50-50 where Terrence McKinney has shown quitting him, and if he doesn't get that finish within 2.5 minutes, he will just quit and he will just get finished. It's a great spot, plus 145 on Kyle Nelson. So you can play this fight to end in round 1. Like I tell you guys every single weekend, I don't play all these underdogs straight up. I will find a prop. I will find, a plus 3.5 bet. If you don't know what the plus 3.5 bets, that's where you're buying points on the judge's scorecard. So if you play plus 3.5 on Kyle Nelson, you're saying basically he doesn't get finished. If he gets a finish, we cash. If he wins a decision, we cash. If he loses a decision 29-28, we cash, right? So there's other bets to play, but Kyle Nelson plus 145 is a great bet. If you guys want all my bets for this UFC Seattle card, go check out my winnable in the description down below. You can get all my bets for free for the free weekend using code YAP. So go check out my winnable. But Kyle Nelson will be the first underdog for UFC Fight Night Seattle this weekend. We're going to move on to my next most confident underdog, a guy that I picked against, but watching the tape study, I'm scared. Officer Joey P, plus 125. He's going to go out there and he's going to fucking finish you, all right? Officer Joe Pyfer, man, turn off the body cam. He's going to go out there and try to kill Israel Adesanya. I picked Israel Adesanya. I want Izzy to win. I believe that Izzy's the way better fighter. I think skill for skill, if this was a kickboxing match, it wouldn't even really be close. But they're in 4-ounce gloves, in an octagon, where takedowns are available, where we've seen Izzy get chinned in his last one against Imavov with a big overhand right, which Joe Pyfer has in his back pocket, which he knocks out almost everybody with. He almost knocked out Kelvin Gastelum. He's probably the closest guy to ever knock out Kelvin Gastelum. Dropped him with that big overhand right, had him wobbly all over the place, and couldn't finish him. But Israel Adesanya's chin, man, it's not there. It's just not there. And skill for skill, Izzy's the way better fighter. The biggest question is, can he keep it up for 25 minutes? And that's the worry. That's the worry. I picked Israel Adesanya. I want him to win. But betting-wise, the value is on Joe Pyfer, and the value is on Joe Pyfer by knockout or submission. He could find a finish here. You know he does that. He finishes almost every single one of his opponents. He's coming out there to kill you or to be killed, man. So I do believe that Joe Pyfer will most likely knock out Israel Adesanya. I went with Izzy. I hope Izzy wins. I was tempted to bet on Izzy, but when I'm watching the tape study, I'm looking for little things, little key things that it's like, this could happen in this fight. You know what I mean? And Joe Pyfer's right hand is constantly there. And Israel Adesanya doesn't have good defense anymore. He's shown that. He's scared on the back foot. His defense is unavailable. He got stunned by oh my goodness, by the boy, man. Oh my God, the guy who fought Anthony Hernandez. Oh, I'm so dumb. He's fighting Hamzat soon. You guys know who I'm talking about. Sean Strickland. He got stunned by Sean Strickland's right hand. He got finished by Nasruddin Imavov's right hand. He got wobbled by Dricus du Plessis' right hand. Like, these things just add up. And that's his past 3 fights. All right, so Joe Pyfer at plus 125, I don't think he's the better fighter. But it really comes down to the UFC is pushing Joe Pyfer. They put him in this main event for a reason. He's way worse skill for skill than Israel Adesanya, but he has the power, he has the will, and he has the momentum to beat Israel Adesanya. Izzy is only coming in here. He said on interviews, he's coming in here. He doesn't want to take a huge layoff. He wants to prove to himself that he still deserves to be here, that he can still do this at this level. And Joe Pyfer is coming in here to kill. He's coming in here because he wants everything that he deserves. He wants to make a better life for himself. He used to live on the streets. He used to be homeless. He wants to come in here and prove to himself that he can be this high level fighter. And he wants to see how far he can go. And I truly believe that Joe Pyfer has the ability and the power to put out Israel Adesanya. It sucks, man, because I think Izzy beats this guy 10 times out of 10 5 years ago. But now it's a coin flip. It is. It's a coin flip. And a lot of people are going to be on the Izzy side. A lot of people are picking Izzy. But Joe Pyfer has that one-shot knockout power, and that's really the defining factor here. If Izzy was fighting a guy who didn't have that one-shot knockout power, Marvin Vettori, Kelvin Gastelum, these guys don't have one-shot knockout power. But now he's fighting a guy who's got a big bomb of a right hand with really good jiu-jitsu. If Izzy gets caught coming to the ground, he gets dropped, Joe Pyfer will jump on the back. He'll find a choke. You know what I mean? So he has that hunter-killer instinct. Joe Pyfer plus 125 is going to be my second most confident underdog for UFC Fight Night Seattle. We're going to move on to my most confident underdog of the entire week, though. My favorite underdog for UFC Fight Night Seattle. If you guys know, I've been doing not too great on my most confident underdogs, but they've been close fights. Shamrock, my most confident. Very close fight, right? Before that, Bruno Silva. I thought he won that fight. It was a split decision. I thought it was a robbery, in my opinion. He was walking him down. He was putting the pressure. So my most confident underdogs have been doing not great, but they've been good bets every single time. They've been good predictions every time, to the point where I'm not mad at it, because I think it was worth it. It was worth the value. And this is another one where I think it's worth the value. It's another coin flip. Yuri Belgauri plus 100, guys. I watched this guy live in Vancouver, and I was so impressed with his performance. I was like really blown out of the water with his performance because a lot of people, were super high on Azamat, me included. I had Azamat. I predicted Azamat to knock out Belgari, and he did clip him with some right hands, but Belgari showed a great chin. He showed great distance management, great takedown defense, and when he was taken down, he used his length to get on top, smash him with elbows on the side of the head, cause a lot of damage, tire out Azamat, and then finish him in the third round. This was a very good performance from Yuri Belgari, and he's fighting a guy in Mansour Abdulmalik, another guy who hasn't been tested, who hasn't fought high-level competition, who's undefeated. I see this matchup the exact same as I saw the Mason Jones versus Axel Sola matchup last weekend in London, where you have a very good guy on the come-up who's undefeated but hasn't been tested by a gritted-down vet who's been there. I'm not calling Belgari a vet, but he's fought over 20 times in kickboxing, fighting Alex Pereira, Israel Adesanya, the guy in the main event. He's fought such high-level kickboxers that I'm not worried about the striking. I'm mostly worried about the grappling, and I don't think Mansour Abdulmalik has this overwhelming grappling that he can hold down Belgari for 3 rounds, because we just saw Yorzi, show off his takedown defense, show off his ability to stay against the fence, reverse positions, even when he's on the bottom, smash his opponent with elbows, get back to the feet, tire him out, pump the jab, he's got one of the most beautiful jabs. He fights exactly like Alex Pereira, just without that one-shot knockout power. But he's a volume striker. He's going to be in your face nonstop. He's got the length and the distance management to just pop Mansour Abdulmalik nonstop, tire him out, beat him up, give him some actual adversity. While as Mansour Abdulmalik's last win was against Antonio fucking Tricoli. Before that, it was Cody Brundage, all right? Cody Brundage, all right? And that was like a no contest because he headbutted him. He's fighting bums. He's fought no good competition, and he hasn't been tested. This is his first test, and plus 100 on Belgari has to be a great line to take because I think it's a 50-50 fight, and I'm going to go with Belgari as my favorite underdog for UFC Fight Night Seattle. Plus 100, I think you can, I wouldn't parlay it, but you can play it straight up. You can play the plus 3.5 very confidently. I don't think Mansour Abdulmalik's going to finish him. I think Belgari definitely wins a round, and I think Belgari could win a decision or a late TKO here where we see Mansour Abdulmalik break, because he hasn't been tested against any good competition. He got an easy finish against Tricoli, got an easy finish against that Croatian guy, right, in his debut. He had the Cody Brundage fight. What other fights did he have? He's really had layup fights up until this point. This is his biggest step up by far. This is like going from here all the way to here. It's like what we're seeing with Ataba Gauthier. The second he goes from beating all these bums to fighting an actual guy, we're going to see if he's really high level. So we'll see if Mansour Abdulmalik is high level. But I think Belgari is good enough to win this fight, and I think he's a real prospect at middleweight. So plus 100 on Yuri Belgari is going to be my favorite underdog for UFC Fight Night Seattle. That's the entire video, boys. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Like I said at the beginning of the video, let me know in the comments down below who your favorite underdog for UFC Fight Night Seattle, Adesanya versus Pyfer is, and I will catch you guys in the next video. See you.